You ever hear about a problem so tough it stumped the smartest people in computer science for like over half a century? But what if I told you the solution wasn't found by a person at all, but by a totally new kind of AI? Okay, you're going to want to stick around for this because this story, it's about way more than just one problem. It's about a whole new way to solve all sorts of problems. So our story kicks off with a really fundamental challenge in computing. How do you multiply matrices as fast as humanly or computerly possible? And listen, this isn't some abstract math puzzle. This is the engine behind pretty much everything, from the graphics in your favorite video game to the AI models that are changing our world. And for decades, one particular record in this field just seemed completely unbreakable. I mean, seriously, think about that question. For 56 years, countless brilliant minds have tried and failed to make this one specific breakthrough. It's the kind of challenge that just seemed like it had hit a permanent wall. So how do you finally break through something like that?
Now, what's really wild about this timeline is that huge gap. See, way back in 1969, a mathematician named Volker Strassen found this revolutionary shortcut for multiplying matrices. And for one very specific, notoriously tricky case, his method was the undefeated champion. For 56 years, yeah, people made little tweaks here and there, but nobody could beat Strassen's score on this one problem. Until now, that is.
So here's the specific challenge we're talking about. Multiplying two 4x4 matrices. Strassen's method? It took 49 individual multiplication steps. And that, right there, was the magic number to beat. It might sound kind of simple, but finding a way to do it in fewer steps was a famous open problem, one of the great puzzles in the field. And here it is, the new record, 48. Now I know what you're thinking, just one step less, but in the world of fundamental algorithms, that is a monumental leap. It's kind of like shaving a full second off a world record in sprinting that stood for over 50 years. It's a huge deal.
But here's the real twist, the thing that changes everything. This breakthrough wasn't some genius having a eureka moment in the middle of the night. Nope. It was discovered by an AI system from Google DeepMind called AlphaEvolve. And that, my friends, is where our story really gets interesting.
All right, so let's properly meet the mind behind this massive breakthrough. What in the world is AlphaEvolve, and how did it manage to pull off something that so many brilliant humans couldn't?
Okay, so in the simplest terms, AlphaEvolve is an AI that literally writes and rewrites code to make it better. It takes the creativity of modern large language models, you know, the tech behind things like Gemini, and smashes it together with this relentless evolutionary process to discover brand new and improved algorithms all on its own.
And this table right here really lays out why AlphaEvolve is such a game changer. You see, its predecessor, FunSearch, was cool, but it was pretty limited. It could only really tweak small bits of Python code. AlphaEvolve, on the other hand, can overhaul entire code bases in any programming language. It's using the power of the absolute best AI models out there to tackle much bigger, way more complex problems. It's just a massive, massive upgrade in both scope and scale.
So the big question is, how does an AI actually evolve code? The whole process is actually surprisingly intuitive when you think about it in a certain way.
At its heart, AlphaEvolve is basically using the principles of evolution. You know, Darwin's survival of the fittest. Well, just imagine that, but instead of animals adapting to an environment, it's computer code adapting to solve a problem more and more efficiently. It's this simple four-step loop that just runs on repeat. First, a human gives us some starting code and defines what better means. You know, something like use fewer multiplication steps. Then, step 2, the LLMs just go wild with creativity, generating thousands of random changes or mutations to that code. Third, every single new version gets automatically tested and scored. And finally, only the best-performing versions, the fittest code, get to survive and become the parents for the next generation of ideas. This loop just runs over and over and over again, and the code gets a little bit better each time.
Okay, so breaking a 56-year-old record is obviously amazing, but AlphaEvolve is definitely not a one-trick pony. This evolutionary approach is already being used to solve some of the most complex engineering challenges on the planet.
And the results are, well, they're staggering. It's being used to make Google's absolutely massive data centers more efficient. It's speeding up the training of the Gemini AI model itself. It's even helping design the very hardware that AI runs on. I mean, it's just wow.
All right, take a look at this number, 0.7%. Now, I know, it sounds pretty small, right? But with this stuff, context is everything. That's the percentage of Google's entire global computing power that was recovered. just by an algorithm AlphaEvolve discovered. By finding a smarter way to pack jobs onto servers, it freed up a truly massive amount of resources that would have just been wasted otherwise.
Okay, how about this one? 23%. A much bigger number, right? And it's just as impactful. That's the average speed-up AlphaEvolve got on a key piece of code that's used to train Gemini. And this is where it gets really meta and cool. The AI is now making itself faster and more efficient. It's creating this powerful feedback loop for its own future development.
And just to show off a little, it also went and tackled another famous math puzzle called the kissing number problem. It found a way to pack 593 spheres perfectly around a central one in 11-dimensional space. The old record was 592. I mean, it's just incredible to even think about.
So, what does all this mean for the big picture? Where is all this incredible technology actually taking us? The researchers at DeepMind really put it perfectly here. The real magic, the secret sauce, happens when you combine the raw, creative power of AI language models with a super strict, automated system that can instantly tell you if an idea is good or bad. It's that combination that unlocks a whole new potential for discovery.
When you really boil it down, this means AlphaEvolve isn't just a better way to write code. It's a brand new kind of scientific partner. It's a tool that can tirelessly explore millions of possibilities, uncover patterns that we humans would probably miss, and automate parts of the discovery process we used to think were uniquely human.
And that right there leaves us with a pretty thrilling final thought. We've just seen an AI solve a 56-year-old problem and optimize some of the most complex systems in the world. So the only question left to ask is, with a tool this powerful, what impossible problem should we point it at next?